process about these.
Set the night on fire. This is raining like you've never imagined.
Alright guys, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the 310 Fighter Squadron, which is where you guys are at. Wait, I forgot how to turn the TV off. Basically the mission of 310 is to train new F-16 pilots. So who knows what an F-16 is? That sweet plane that you guys were seeing earlier today. Like really curvy, it looks really good.
But it's a piece of junk compared to an F-15.
Well, only need one pilot, you know. One engine, one pilot, that's the way to go. A little bit about myself. I'm from Northern California. I grew up in a really small town of Nevada City, California. Like 3,000 people, like nothing to do, nobody in sight. Had no intention of getting in the military. Still didn't know how I ended up here, but then someone said, hey, you can go to college for free and fly airplanes, so that sounded pretty cool. So signed that piece of paper, went to the Air Force Academy. If anybody has questions about the Air Force Academy like that, I can answer that. Yeah, pretty much went there, didn't think I wanted to be a pilot, and then saw some guys doing it and said that looks like fun. So joined up, got a pilot's light, had good eyes, and yeah, just went from there. Spent about 2 years in pilot training. Most of the pilot training, most of the guys are going to go fly like cargo. I think about 30 people go into pilot training in one class. And about 2 of those guys will go fly fighters. So it's a pretty like unique club. Not a lot of people get to do it. You fly fast, you're full of G's. Like yesterday I went faster than sound. You know how fast sound is? Really fast. Really fast. Go faster than that. Looking sheet. So it's really cool. If you guys have any questions or anything like that about what we do, or how to get here, or opportunities you guys might have. Biggest thing for me, I knew that the only way I was going to have a shot at getting here was going to school. And so even though my basically senior high school, I asked my folks how I'm going to pick for college, and they said, it's a good question, how are you going to pick for college? Yeah, that's probably a big problem. So Air Force took care of that, and now let me fly airplanes, get paid to do it. So best decision I ever made in my life. If you guys have any questions or anything like that right now?
Let me explain to them, in our junior ROTC we have 210 kids that actually come from 9 different schools commute in. A lot of these are some of our commuters. Guys, we call our heritage room to mimic this right here. This is where the pilots and the students, the instructors and the students come here to actually learn about their heritage. You can see over here on behind us, this is the example of the F-16s that you guys are going to see. Matter of fact, right here, the bottom middle is the F-16 over Meteor Crater out beside Flagstaff. And I was telling you that one of the fun things that these guys learn to do is air-to-air refueling. And if you've never done it, it's pretty hairy the first time you've done it, going around, what, 350, 20,000 feet behind a big plane. And you have to pull up right behind it so that a boom, a big tube, is plugged into your plane, and you pass gas in the middle of the air in order to refuel. That's kind of the basis of all the American warfighting machine, is we get gas in the air, we fly anywhere, anytime. From Luke, I used to fly here, and I would take off from here and fly straight to England. Well, that's not 1 tank of gas, that's 3 or 4. I picked up F-15s at the brand new factory in St. Louis, flown to England or Italy, and you get air fuel just like this. So these are kind of the basic things they learn how to do. Again, air-to-air and air-to-ground, so they're dropping bombs as well as training the air-to-air dynamics. Is a very tough thing to do, the multi-role, and so it's a lot of fun. But the bottom line is after they do all the training, they come in here and they tell war stories, and you learn about stuff just like you guys do during lunch or after school. In our heritage room, we have a ping pong table, we have a place where they eat lunch and hang out. So it's very, very similar to what I've tried to create at our ROTC. By the way, no other ROTCs have some stuff that we've done, so it's a good time.
Yes, sir. That's absolutely right. We come in here. I'd say at the end of the day, you probably got 5 or 6 guys who are sharing a beer and after work hours and telling them about the flights, and it's a great way to learn. A lot of times in the debrief it can be really intense, kind of air combat maneuvering can often get heated and things like that, but you learn so much more just sitting on a friend level and being able to say like, hey, what did I do wrong? what can I do better next time for the flight. So that's what's great about this heritage room. Anybody know what a roll call is? You guys do roll calls?
No.
No?
Tell them what it is.
So a history of a roll call, basically every month we have a roll call. Get every single pilot in the squadron together on a Friday night and, for lack of a better word, kind of imbibe a couple of adult drinks and hang out, tell stories. The history of it is from World War II. In England, they would have a roll call at the end of every night. It's such a high attrition rate, pilots were getting dropped out of the sky left and right because of the war, but they wouldn't actually know who came back alive and who was there. So they'd always have a drink charged and ready to go, and they'd ring a bell. They'd have a big bell and call roll call. And for everybody, call everybody's name, they'd call the roll call, and for anybody who didn't say their name, they'd ring the bell and everybody take a shot. Kind of honor that guy. So that's where the history came from. It's kept up for 50, 60 years, and every single fighter squadron, I'm sure, you know, in the Eagle community, you guys have them every month or so. And it's a great time, it's a great way to learn and kind of get that camaraderie down. Because the biggest thing, especially flying a single seat fighter, is you have to be able to trust that guy in that other $30 million warplane right next to you with your life. And he's trusting you with yours. So being able to have that kind of trust and being able to share that on the ground is huge. It's absolutely essential.
The other thing to realize, guys, is when you see all this stuff on Hollywood about fighters or going to war, the pilots, male and female, that are trained in this squadron and these other similar-looking buildings, these are the people that are the first to go to war for America. These are the ones that are what we call the tip of the spear. And they will be the first person to fight for America over enemy territory. And America's ability to control the air since 1954, okay, we're talking 60 years, not one bad guy has dropped one bomb to kill an American person. We have owned the world skies since 1954. That's never happened in the history of warfare. And it's all because of these lieutenants and these captains that have done this. And so where you're standing are where the warriors have been trained and, oh, by the way, then gone and defended America and died. So these heritage rooms in a high school situation are cool because you're there and you see the pictures of the former commanders, and they've gone off to Embry-Riddle, the Air Force Academy, we got one at West Point, and they've gone off to do their life, and that's cool in high school. But when you get into a professional organization like this on the base, these are the warriors for America that are better than anything else in the world, and they have died so that we can have our freedoms. And so that's kind of when you look at these gauge, you'll see people's faces. They're not there because they're alive. They're there because they've sacrificed their life for our freedom. And this is a rare ability that you guys have to come here.
That's absolutely right. We take our training pretty seriously. We have a lot of training rules, and think about how dangerous it can be if you have 10 aircraft in the sky, the same piece of sky, and 10 other aircraft. Because we do these big simulations of basically war, enacting what we can actually do in the real world to practice how we would actually get the mission done. So here is pretty much a training base. I finished training about like 6-9 months ago, and I'm now going off. Actually, on Friday, I'm moving to Germany. So
that's a good deal. We're in Germany.
Spain, sir.
That's a great deal.
So things like that, as far as the military, specifically with flying, you get an opportunity to go all over the world. I went to school in Colorado, then beautiful Mississippi. That was great. And now going off to Germany for 3 years. So
you're in Columbus, Mississippi?
Yes, sir.
I went to pilot training in Columbus, Mississippi, guys, in 1985 was when I graduated, a million years ago. But back then, guess what? The military in America was not as appreciated. And I'll tell my story. Columbus, Mississippi, I went there as a lieutenant. I looked just like him, lots skinnier than I am now. But they did not like the military. And so I went into McDonald's, Burger King, which are there, and I got spit upon by the local people from Mississippi. But that was prior to Desert Storm, prior to 9/11, and now I bet the people in Mississippi treat you a little better.
The community there is awesome. Really, yes. Everywhere I've been, of 3 or 4 bases I've been to, the community has been awesome. Everybody supports you. And
how many people here would like a job where you get paid a lot of money to go to Germany and hang out for 3 years and travel around?
I mean, someone's got to do it.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it. I was flying jets here, guys. I met my wife, Susie, who a lot of you guys know from Arizona. We got married, went to England, I opened up the F-15 Lake and Eden. And so my first son, Luke, who's now 20, was born in England. How many of you guys were born in other countries? This is all, we're paid to do this in the military. Of course, I flew all over Europe and the desert. But he'll have that opportunity. I promise you, between now and the next 3 years, as soon as he's over there, gets checked out in his F-16 in Germany, if you guys ever see any problems in the desert, base Syria, it's going to be perfect. He is about, what, 2-hour flight from Syria. That's pretty wild. He can go drop bombs in Syria like that. And you wouldn't know about it until after it happens. It'd all be top secret. It's unclassified now. I was on the first Bosnian war mission. But anyway, we would fly from England and fly over Bosnia and do fun stuff and come back. And then the next day it would be announced. So that's what he's going to do. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
And like I said, talking about how fun it is, you know, getting paid well and then having a blast and go to new places. It took, like, that's the end result of probably 6 years of the hardest work of my entire life. Because in high school, I honestly, like Andy got, probably didn't work as hard as I could have, had, you know, well enough scores and didn't work as hard as I could have, barely got into the academy by the skin of my teeth. And then from there, you just have to bust your butt the entire time. And as long as you have a goal, like, I just knew that I wanted to, well, I still want to be an astronaut. That was all that motivated me. But in pilot training, stuff like that, like, I want to be a fighter pilot. What does it take? It takes being the best, like #1 in your class. So make it happen. As long as you put the work in, don't want any brighter or anything like that than anybody else, but studied every single day. My one reward was watching like one episode of South Park at night. That was it. That's what I was studying. And then you just make it happen. And as long as you think you can, as long as you put that work hard, you can do it.
What was your major?
Astronautical engineering.
Okay, astronautical engineering. So generally, you guys think science, math. That's a big opportunity to have a lot of money and have good jobs. Or you can apply for TPS.
I am.
Okay, test pilot school. I think it's still 1,000 hours.
750.
750. Okay. You have to have 2 or 3 years of fighter pilot experience. So maybe after his tour in Germany, he'll have enough hours and experience that he applies to something very exclusive called a test pilot school. It's in California, and it's about the time when he would be a captain. He's a first lieutenant now, but at that point, it's highly competitive. You know, what, a dozen a year get selected, but that is the way for a pilot to become a astronaut. Engineers, doctors can become astronauts other ways, but his and my path would be a test pilot school is what it's called. And, you know, he has just as much opportunity as anybody else. He's already #1, so.
That was you know, I've wanted to do that since I was 5 years old, and it kind of just that, like, 5-year-old little dream has always stayed in the back of the head. Because it might be getting older, getting smarter, getting more mature, but it's still that little kid in the back of my brain who's like, yeah, go fly in space. You know, it sounds awesome. So always have that dream. Like, don't ever get bogged down and say, just settle for something. Because at the end of the day, if you work for something and you don't quite get there, at least you know you did your best. You know, the only way I was going to be ticked off in pilot training was if I knew I could have given more. If I knew I didn't put everything on the table. So that's the way to take it. If you want something, just earn it and get it. Does anybody have any other questions or anything about the squadron or about what we do here? Anybody want to go fly? Let's go fly. I've seen some hands.
Can we show them a briefing room? Do you have an unclassified briefing room that we could show
Yeah.
maps and all stuff like that?
We can show a small class. Yeah, question.
Names of people that he
Yeah, so each plane, we've got about 30 aircraft in our squadron. There's 5 squadrons here. Each aircraft has like a permanent IP instructor pilot that has their name on it, and that's their jet. And so that is usually shared by the crew chief and the pilot. So I'm sure you had your name on the side of a jet, and that's their jet that they kind of take care of and have a little place in their heart for. I don't know. Any other questions? All right, let's go check out a briefing room. Maybe show you exactly how we actually